G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in up on the north side, we've got Lenok playing in the blue on the Chinese and his opponent on the opposite side of the map. We've got Striker playing as the English in the color red. Now, I apologize before we get into this game. These games are happening live. We've missed a little bit of the Dark Age, but Liddicore's kept everybody warm, so don't be too worried. Hopefully the issues that we were having have all been sorted out, but Liddicore, talk to me a little bit. How do you expect this map to go? This is Altai, of course. Two civilizations that we somewhat expected on this map.
It is indeed two expected civilizations, but because Chinese are so rarely used nowadays, they're a bit of an out-of-the-box selection or almost a wild card, where Striker can't really expect a lot of things in advance from Lenok. He needs to really scout his opponent and see what he's doing, because he can't just preemptively prepare for a certain strategy. If you were playing an English mirror, or if you were playing any other civilization, like French, whatsoever, you would have a good idea of what your opponent wants to do. But against the Chinese, that's not so true over here. You can probably think about Song Dynasty, Chinese boom, but because, as you said, there were quite a lot of changes to Chinese in the previous patch, and we haven't really seen this civilization in tournaments, it's a bit of a wild card to see what Chinese will do, and you will have to just adapt your game plan according to what Lenok does. So Lenok has that upper hand.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I think in this matchup, on this map in particular, China definitely has the upper hand. Previously, before this patch, we did see China as a very heavily picked civilization on this map. And we actually see Lenok going for two villages on the gold mine up towards the north of his base. This to me indicates that it's highly likely that we're going to see Lenok going for a fast Song Dynasty. But we'll see how he plays it out, because you don't need to go for gold as the Chinese. It's only if you're going for a fast Song Dynasty that you would ever need it. But take a look at the beautiful spawn that Lenok has actually been handed today. It is a spawn from God itself.
Heavens.
He has got... I mean, this is beautiful. He's got two front wood lines. Very easily going to be able to wall that in. And then over past that wood line, he's got a little bit of a ridge line. And all of a sudden, he can wall all the way across there. Probably going to cost him 40 wood at most. And that's it. That's it. All the rest of his base is covered by that single Barbican. He is in incredibly good shape.
Exactly, and that Barbican of the Sun is immensely valuable on the left side. It's protecting his mill, and the mill also has the deer nearby. So not only are you supervising it for the sheep, you're also supervising that for the deer. As you said, forests on the front will mean that it's rather easy for him to vault. And if he does that, he's going to have his gold mine secure as well. One of his villagers was exposed to the scout of Striker, but really, Striker won't be able to pick it up. Already out with two Imperial officers though, so he's very heavy on the supervising department, and was also quite heavy collecting tax. He actually started mining gold, which is not something that you always do with Chinese, especially now that Striker comes in. With a second scout, he might just pull that last villager away from gold.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a smart move. And interestingly, Lenok going for a stable very early here, keeping it nice and safe as well. Take a look where he's dropped it down, completely in a dark spot. Striker's going to have no idea that this is coming out. And that can sort of be a little bit of a scary thing for Striker to do, because it's highly unlikely that Striker's going to be opening with a barracks. I'll check over in his base and see what we've got. It doesn't look like he's going to be going for that. So just opening up with some longbows from the council hall. No real surprise there. But he could be taken by surprise. Not going to be the case. Stable gets spotted. So the shenanigans are up. Striker immediately going to be responding with a barracks. I would hope we'll take a look and see what he does. Cancelling. Yeah, no longbows in queue. Barracks being dropped immediately. So Striker not skipping a beat. He knows exactly what is up.
Indeed, but that is the importance of that scouting we talked about, that he couldn't just preemptively go for barracks like as if he was playing against the French. He had to scout what his opponent is up to, because Chinese delivered that versatility out there. They went for a couple of horsemen, but it's notable that Lenok isn't pursuing any more horsemen for now. So this is really just so that he can stop those first couple of longbows coming forward, and I wouldn't be surprised to see an archer range being dropped rather soon and just supervise it for decent archer numbers. Play archers, horsemen, and then probably, as I said, go for Song Dynasty, because he's still mining gold, which is a sign that Song Dynasty is getting near.
Yeah, and this is where it really becomes one of those things where the shoe... Well, I don't know exactly how to say it, but the burden is upon the English player to make moves. He's got to make moves. He's got to make something happen. He's got to think outside the box, because when that dynasty does come down, that's going to mean that Leenock is producing villages much faster than the standard civilization. And as a result, it means that he's going to be building up that economy sooner, faster. And now we indeed do see that Imperial Academy going down. Striker will recognize this. He will know that his enemy is also going for an archery range, is looking to focus on his economy. And as a result, I need to start making moves. He's got to start making mogul moves out here or something, Liticor, because otherwise it's just not going to work.
Yeah, he has multiple options. He can go very aggressive in Feudal Age with spears and longbows, but he can also think about Castle Age, because one thing that he could do to sort of avoid falling behind Nico is just going for a Castle Age with the King's Palace. And if he stops making army, because he's anticipating Leenock not to attack, then he can get to a pretty decent Castle Age timing and just go for that second town center himself. He's got a beautiful ridge to work with, left of Leenock's base. That's the perfect place to drop that scout at. Just beautifully overlooking the entire valley area, seeing the eco and, of course, the production buildings as well.
Yes, this is very, very nice. I love the positioning on this. It makes a lot of sense, but yeah, I'd be curious to see what direction Striker does go for. We see he's actually walling up, but honestly, if I was Striker in this position, I mean, I would probably be thinking about getting up to Castle 8 as quickly as possible. But it doesn't seem like he's doing that, adding in a second lumber camp now. He's got 15 villages on wood, so he is definitely focusing on production at this point in time.
And that is, I think, the more dangerous approach here, because the Chinese can catch up so fast with military numbers because they can just supervise their production buildings. The flexibility they have is just insane. And because of that, even though Striker does have a decent force now, the moment Leenock scouts this, which just happened right now, he's going to start popping out, actually not even archers, but the Zhugenu and horsemen, and with the help of the Barbican of the Sun, some walls up north, this is going to be very difficult for Striker to push, and it's already Song Dynasty, so you already have the villager production advantage, you already have the tax income advantage as well, and that Imperial Academy is also affecting the wood line, or the lumber camp, the mill, and all the production buildings. So this is a perfectly paced academy as well for Leenock.
Yeah, this is actually really, really nice. Now that you mention it, yeah, he's managed to hit everything. So very, very good placement there. Yeah, unfortunately, that lumber camp now no longer going to be of use because he has moved on to the second one. He's placed that one down a little bit further out, but very nice. But yeah, going now for the Chokunu as well as the horseman. So a very nice composition. Obviously, this is going to get scouted out completely by Striker's man on the hill. Or woman on the hill. Let's listen. What does her voice say? It's the woman on the hill. She's up there. She's scouting. She's letting her Strelbora know exactly what is going to be happening this game.
And Striker didn't see the Barbican of the Sun up until now. He wanted to drop a tower a lot closer, and he just decided to place it elsewhere upon seeing that Barbican of the Sun is like, okay, what do I do now? And we've talked about those wood lines being both on the front, helping with the walling, but it's also true that once those are exposed, there is no backup forest to chop. For Leenock, he's starting to add farms right now, but he might soon have to fight for his wood lines.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake coming in here from Striker. Villager going to be going down to a wolf, so this wolf was animation cancelling, so it will be, there will be repercussions for the wolf, but unfortunately, despite that, going to be taking out that villager. So first villager loss of the game, going over to the Gaia. Not the first time that we've seen that, and it definitely won't be the last.
Indeed, and Striker could chop through the forest. We have seen that multiple times before. Chop down the tree and just run past the walls. Siege Engineering is coming in for Striker, so he will be able to go for rams, but best move that Striker could make is just chop down the tree and then run past that blue wall straight into the base of the opponent.
Yeah, it's a bit of a big brain move. We'll see if he works it out. He's got two villagers here just chopping on the front line. They've got no lumber camp nearby. If they do get 10 wood inside, they're not going to be able to do any more chopping. And it does look like one of those villagers heading up to 10 wood. Second villager on 5 at the moment.
He's chopping down the entire forest. He's chopping straight through, not by the wall. Meanwhile, Horseman ready to counterattack as Striker going to go for stone.
He's doing it. Oh my lord, no way he's doing that. You can see he's having a bit of trouble. He needs to drop a lumber camp because he's just losing so much efficiency with this second villager. He's actually going through the wall. This has happened before in history, right? Like, I feel like this is a Mexican cartel tunneling through the forest to get their longbows through to the enemy base.
And that is very difficult to defend against because walling off these chop-throughs are very difficult in general. Leenock was doing a great job intercepting the reinforcements, and he also potentially prevented Striker from starting to mine stone. Striker wanted to build a mining camp towards stone, but changed his mind after he saw the horseman. And there's a second ram coming in. Looking at Lennox's vision, he's got no idea, and it's starting to become worrisome for him. He probably knows the army is there, but he has no idea what's coming his way.
It looks like Striker may have given up on his idea. It was definitely something he was thinking about. You can see he actually chopped down 3 trees. He got 3 trees deep, and now he's just kind of like, we'll work it out later. But the force of Lennox now getting significantly large. Have a look at the amount of Chokunu he's got back here. It is a huge amount, 20 Chokunu. He's got the +1 ranged attack in as well, so he's going to be doing that extra 3 damage at this stage. And going up against the longbows and the spears, these guys are yet to have their +1 range armor in, and that's going to hurt a lot. Typically, you need to be having that before you fight, so we'll have to hope that Striker doesn't look to pick a fight before that upgrade comes through.
It looks like he's splitting his forces. He's trying to push with the longbows from the north. Rams are jumping on the Barbican of the Sun. No response so far from Lennox. Instead, he's sending all the horsemen back, trying to intercept reinforcements. He might try to sandwich this force from 2 directions in a second.
Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. You can have a look at the horsemen that are back here in this position. I think he might be looking to pick up reinforcements, and that's exactly what he's going to do. A longbow going to be going down there, so no more reinforcements coming through for Striker at this point. But the Chokunu are going to be doing their best to defend here. Barbican of the Sun going to be trying to hold on for dear life, but unfortunately down to less than 40% health at this point.
Horsemen are here to save the day, and the spearmen are slightly mispositioned. You see, Striker is hiding them in the stealth forest, wants to jump on the horsemen, and Lennox was unaware of that, so this comes as a nasty surprise. But the Rams won't be able to take down the Barbican of the Sun here to start with. And as you said, the Jugenu numbers are just high here, very high. In fact, for Lennox, in general, his army is just gigantic.
Yeah, it's an absolutely massive army at this point. Going to completely overwhelm his opponent. You see the spears here outnumbered massively by the horsemen. Ideally, you'd want to have 1 for 1, and it definitely doesn't seem like he's got those numbers. Chokunu getting right in on top of his opponent's Striker here. Does manage to get the +1 upgrade through as those horsemen. Just look at the micro coming out right now from Lennox. Beautiful stuff. As his enemy continues to try and retreat, we see that he brings up these new units, reinforces that existing position, and you can see the way that he's coming through, just ignoring the spears of his opponent and just focusing down, firing upon or stabbing these spears, and a massive win right there for Lennox.
That is a gigantic win, especially because we talked about this. Lennox already has the economy advantage, and now he has the army advantage. He's going to force his opponent off from stone. Striker wanted to mine stone potentially for a second town center, but that's not going to be a reality. He only mined 95 stone. And now, dealing with all those Jugenu in Feudal Age is quite difficult, because what can Striker do against that? His longbows won't work that well. He doesn't have a single horseman coming out, and the longer the game goes, the better it is for a Chinese player, because at this point, we could even see Lennox think about the second town center.
Yeah, well, the big thing to me is, okay, so you've had this massive victory in Age 2, in the Dark Age. What do? How do you convert that into an actual victory? And there's a number of ways that you can do it, but my favorite way, and the best way I think he can do that, is look to get up to Age 3 as quickly as possible, look to get these upgrades in for the Chokunu, potentially look at getting +2, obviously get the veterancy in. I'm a bit worried, though, because he is overextending at this point. We can see that Lennox now heading in towards this stealth forest, obviously going to be able to evade his enemy for a short amount of time, and we see that Striker was heading in to chase him, but subsequently Lennox realized that there's no way for him to get out. But yeah, Striker having a bit of a tough time here.
And Striker is going to lose a couple of villagers to this Jugenu, so the moment you realize you can't save that army, you just focus down villagers with them, and you see that the value that he's getting out of these is really good. Killed a couple of villagers, taking down spearmen, and behind this one, he's up to Castle Age with the clock tower, so at this point, he can afford to lose this army, because he knows that he's able to focus down the spearmen, and I would be very surprised not to see Lancers coming out in a second with all those spearmen being focused down.
Yeah, I think this is a good game. I don't think there's any way that he can really win this. I actually watched a game early on in the tournament in the same bracket as this. It was Soldier, who was playing up against Fitzy here. And we saw Soldier in a very similar position to what Lennox was in right now, where he had an overwhelming victory in the Feudal Age. The problem was he didn't convert it. he overextended, he lost his army, and he lost the game. Leenock, on the other hand, he has somewhat converted that. Now, he definitely threw away a fair bit of his army, but the question is as to whether he wanted to even use that army anymore. He has, however, invested those extra resources, that extra time that he's had. He's gone up to the 3rd age, and you can see that now he's beginning to add in those armored units. The Palace Guards beginning to come out. Have we got any Lancers just yet?
Nope, it looks like he's going full Palace Guard. He's probably a little too concerned about the Spearman. He also had the 2nd Town Center, though, and now he's at 65 villas over 40. So he isn't really even in the direct need to add a lot of army, because, as you said, it's all about how you convert your already existing advantage into something even bigger. And just expanding that economy is going to be sufficient for that. Striker is not far away from Castle Age, but he's going to get pushed by Palace Guards, and he has no direct answer to those.
Yeah, Palace Guards are going to be incredibly difficult to stop here. The big thing is with the Palace Guards, they've obviously got a bit of a faster movement speed, lower armor, but against the English, that works out especially well, just simply because the English longbows have lower speed than typical archers, so it means that it's much harder for them to kite. So the interaction works very well, especially on a map like this. So Leenock going to be coming in now and looking to punish his opponent. There's a lot of horsemen down here, but he's found the economy of his opponent, and now Striker under significant stress as the villagers head towards the town center. You can see them evacuating the dance floor. Longbows getting in amongst the mix as well, but going to be losing those, and you can see the armor on these Palace Guards. They're barely taking any damage from these longbows, and looks like Striker is going to tap out of this game. Leenock takes the 3rd game in the series and heads up to 2-1. Nice little lead for him.
And he wins that with Chinese. That's the spectacular point of this entire thing. Very clean gameplay from him, and he has shown that Chinese is a very appealing civilization, even with its bugs in. Imagine what this civilization could do if it wasn't bugged, because the term that you associate with Chinese is versatility. If your opponent isn't pushing you, you don't make a single unit. But if you feel like, oh shoot, I'm behind in army numbers, you can supervise the production buildings and pump out a lot of army really fast. And you can supervise it anytime you want. So it's even more flexible to a certain extent than the Delhi is. And then, of course, the Song Dynasty, these components, like supervising the tax gold income, Song Dynasty, 2nd Town Center, it's just a matter of which order you mix these in. And what's the order of these being selected one after another, basically.
Yeah, I agree exactly. It's all about the order that you place those in, but Leenock doing it in perfect style, getting up into the Castle Age, securing victory with those armored units. So if you're watching this on YouTube, hopefully you enjoyed the 3rd game a little bit more than the 2nd game, but make sure you check out the next video that's coming up, because that is going to be the 4th game in this series, and we could potentially see Leenock head towards match point.